This absolutely horrible neighborhood I lived in, 3 dumpy little slum streets. The streets were called Burns Street, Milton Street, and Byron Street. I lived on Byron Street. I thought that meant I was destined to be Lord Byron. It was really funny when you met a girl from the suburbs and you said, I live on Poets Row. They picture some elegant place. Anyway, I think I didn't need to say that. I think it's all explained in the poem. It's about street cries. There was a time when the streets of America were musical with cries from vendors, people who sharpened knives, people who sold vegetables, people who did all kinds of things. And I'm learning that people my age who were in the same place don't remember the street cries, but what has haunted me, the first thing I remembered was some of the street cries. Poets Row, street cries from a vanished world. 1, Billy Penn on Broad Street. Until I was 4 years old, I lived in Center City, Philadelphia. Once I wandered off, missing for 4 hours. My father found me on Broad Street, staring up at Billy Penn, mystically tall, so lordly atop the tower of City Hall. All I recall from that first wanderlust day is the way Billy Penn looked riding the sun, the choral blur of the streets, the street cries of men buying and selling, menders and vendors. 2, Poets Row. Later we moved across the river to Poets Row, 3 narrow cobblestone streets by the Delaware, named after Burns, Milton, and Byron. I lived on Byron Street. I did not know then it was the mark of fate. It was a place of row houses with back alleys barely wide enough for 2 kids to pass without having a fight. All-day men passed in that alley, singing their trades. Knife sharpeners, pot menders, glaziers, hucksters, hawking many things. I liked the man who carried a tall basket on each shoulder and sang, fresh red potatoes, fresh pig, sweet corn. But most, I liked the clothes prop man's modal chant. Clothes props. He marched down the alley, bundles of sticks thicker than 1 by 1, furring strips, angled like rifles over both his shoulders. Stout sticks 6 and 8 feet tall, notched for clotheslines to lift the laundry toward the lofty breeze and keep the sheets from dragging in the dirt. In those days, nobody had clothes dryers, and only the lucky few had wringer washing machines. It was a time when wash tubs and washboards were not just musical instruments. Sometimes we chopped up clothes props with hatchets and whittled sharp points for our daily sword fights. We also stole clotheslines for our war games. When you captured Indians and Huns, you had to tie them up with something. One day I was playing in the backyard dirt with Joni Riley, the first girl I kissed, when I was 6. And the clothes prop man passed. Clothes prop. I got up and ran after him, followed him block after block, down all the labyrinthine alleys, singing behind him, clothes prop. Near dark, I came home the front way. I followed the junk man with his horse and wagon rattling over cobblestones. Any old rags? Any old rags? I watched Joni's mother sell him a bag of rags. I went inside to eat our Monday meatless supper. A few years later, I sold Italian water ice. It was called Yum Yum. You pulled a wagon with a large barrel through the streets, mostly cobblestone, so given the precarious balance, you had to have somebody hold the barrel. I usually had Billy Jones do the holding all day for the promise of a few free Yum Yums. The last I heard of Billy, he was in prison for knifing somebody when he was 14. The reason my brother and I sold more Yum Yum than anybody else was the way we sang in the streets. Yum, 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 yum. I had forgotten the clothes prop man, but I had stolen his song. One Memorial Day, I set a record, sold 3 barrels of Yum Yum, really scored. More cash than singing and passing the hat. I was 10. That was the day I kissed Katie Kent by the river at sunset, and she showed me what she showed me. That was the first time I remember smelling lilacs. Afterwards, we skipped stones out across the Delaware. All those 4ths of July, the street cry, yum, 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 yum. The summer of Sandy Smith and Ginny Ashfield, we also skipped stones over the river. I don't know if it was the way the girls got mixed up with the songs, the street cries, but I do know I don't get these old guy poets who mine their childhood and write a world where they only remember the names of the boys who took their girls away. The only thing that stays for me is the song of the streets and the names of the girls. I salute them all now. I hope your lives are filled with secret joy. Later, I moved deep into the country, still singing, and forgot everything about the city, almost everything.